Hello, Tiffany. Welcome to Revitalized Womanhood. Thank you so much for jumping on this. You are so good to me to be like, you're friends with Amy? Okay, I'll make this happen for you. You are so sweet. Like, thank you. How was your Facebook today? It was awesome. You had a great turnout.
Well, I hope so. It's what I
You
teach people
did.
to do.
I know, but that's what I mean. It was awesome. Everybody was engaging. So I'm talking about she had her 3 days to make bank. Today was day one.
Yeah.
First time for me. First time. And so 2 more days of this, and you are fire. You are just like, give it to them.
Yeah,
That is your style.
That is my style. And most people, we're so busy. We have so much going on. If the fluff isn't going to get you further in your life, your business, your bank account, then why do we have it there? But so many people just like circle talk and do the fluff. And it's disappointing to people when they buy things or listen to even people that, where their stuff is free, but they never really get the meat. Like, just tell me what I need to do. Because I feel if people know what they need to do and focus on, a majority of them will actually do it.
Yeah, and honestly, listening to your podcast, which, wow, you've been doing podcasting for a long time. You have some amazing content out there. So my favorite thing is to just like scroll back because I love to see where I'm so new. I love to see where people started and where they've grown, right? So I like to see the comparisons. So when I say things like, introduce yourself, right? Some people say, oh, well, if I were to put myself into a box, but I'm like, I really love to hear how people introduce themselves because I have your bio. I can look at your bio, but how would you introduce yourself, right? So can you introduce yourself to my listeners, please?
I would say I'm Tiffany Carter. I am a survivor of extreme abuse. I am someone who climbed that corporate ladder and created a glass ceiling for myself and wasn't interested in that life anymore and decided to take my own future, my lifestyle, my desire, my legacy into my own hands and built the damn thing myself so that there is no ceiling. And now I teach other people how to do the same things by monetizing their own expertise, intellectual property, creativity, things that light them up, because you can make money doing really anything. And there's evidence of that everywhere. Like, look at some of the crazy products that are on the market. I mean, there's room for more of everything as long as the stuff is good.
Yeah, there's enough to go around. That's what I think about with like communities and anything. It's like, if you're not resonating with me in this community, go find someone that is resonating with you, because my priority is that you are just in a community, that you are in some kind of coaching, that you are in some form of expanding your knowledge, right? But if I'm not going to resonate with you, great. There's enough to go around. There's enough people that will resonate with me. There's enough people that will resonate with you. It's just that, yeah, you're right. There's plenty. We can make it happen for anything, really. I mean, anything, as long as you're willing to work for it. As long as you're willing to do the work. Right?
And a lot of people are not. And that goes for in marriage. That goes for in parenting. That goes for in weight loss. That goes for in business. It's really easy and fun to be in that like dream stage. It's kind of like when you ask that question of like, what if you won the $100 million lotto? It's like, it's fun to fantasize or even conceptualize a company. And this is what I would create. And this is an invention I have. But to actually take the action to follow that goal and do the thing and follow through, yeah, it's not as fun. That's true. No. That's why so many people stay like students for life. They'll buy program after program, get a certification. They like just take in more knowledge. I need to plan. I need to figure this out, because that is way less vulnerable than going into action.
Yeah, they won't implement it though. And information without implementation is worthless. It's worthless.
Yeah, it's just more, it actually is just more nonsense in your head. The action, that's where the risk is. You put money on the line, your heart on the line, your energy on the line, your time on the line, and yeah, it might not work, but it's guaranteed that it for certain will not work if you don't get into action. But that's the payoff for people. People like that payoff because they can at least say, oh, I wish I could do this. I want to do this. I'm working towards doing this. After this certification, I'll do this. And it's almost like appeasing them and making them feel less guilty about not doing it because they have to do this other thing first. It's like true mind manipulation.
It's like clutter in your mind. It's what's your chaos, right? What's your chaos in your mind? And it's all this information that you're just putting in there and putting in there and putting in there. And then you're overload. It's like having a messy house, right? It's like having a messy car. It's just overload, right? So I was reading through your bio and it says, Tiffany is a multimillionaire entrepreneur that went from a life of self-destruction to success. Will you explain the self-destruction to me, please?
When you're raised in a dysfunctional environment, and that can be on any level. It doesn't have to be as extreme as my story, which is like a Lifetime movie, but any level of dysfunction, broken family, alcoholic parent, narcissistic parent, there was abuse, you lived in extreme poverty, you were bullied as a kid. That stuff ends up clearly shaping us. And then what happens is we have all these survival skills that we come up with. And they've served us at a certain point. They kept us alive. They kept us getting our needs met. They protected us. But then at a certain point in adulthood, they turn against us. So those exact survival skills become destructive and prevent us from having the life, the happiness, the peace, the confidence, the support, the money, all the things that we actually want. So how mine turn against me is I had to be constantly doing. So I was an exercise addict, which is a form of an eating disorder. And I became a workaholic. And then I was really like a relationship addict. Like I always had to be in a relationship. I was a people pleaser. So I always had to be like doing favors for friends and all the time. Everything was all the time, nonstop, tasking, doing, productivity. So then I didn't have to actually sit and be in my feelings and be in my thoughts. I could constantly be distracted, yet be highly admired for it. Because everyone's like, oh my God, you're so motivated and disciplined. And I wish I could do that. And so I just picked things subconsciously that you get rewarded for. I mean, no company is going to tell you, hey, stop working so hard for us, right? So I would burn myself out. I got sick. I've been hospitalized. And then it's a progressive disease when we do this. I talk a lot about codependency on my podcast. And when we're pleasing others, focusing on others, other people's needs before us, everything comes before us. And it can feel noble. We can feel like we're being so generous. We can even feel like we're doing like God, this is God's work. This is what God wants us to be doing. And then we're not serving ourselves. You're going to pay a price for that at some point. And I hit that point and I went to end my life. And on the outside, you would have never known it. Just like we see these people in the news that are, public figures, where people are shocked by it. They're like, oh my God, they seem so happy and they had all this money and fame. I had the money. I was taking all the 5-star luxury trips. I had my nails done the day before. I was the strong one, the one who had her stuff together. And I was exhausted, depleted. I was bankrupt emotionally, spiritually, mentally. And I wasn't bankrupt financially, but that, it really doesn't matter because the money I thought the money would fix those problems and it didn't. I really had a God-shaped hole is what I had.
It's interesting that you said, because people pleasing is obviously society's telling us. I had an interview with an Enneagram coach and she said, actually, a lot of people will be that Enneagram but they're really not. But because society has rewarded these things, you know, like just like what you're saying, they've rewarded these things. So they kind of think that they are that type of person. Anyway, it's interesting that you said that God has called me to do all these things and I have to keep doing it and doing it. It made me think, wouldn't God be calling you to take care of yourself? Wouldn't God be saying, you're my child, I want you to take care of you and make sure you're whole before you start giving to all these other people? I'm sorry, that just, it just doink right there. But I love, you say that your mission runs deeper than helping women create wealth, that your bigger purpose is helping women find their worth. And I swear to you, like, you can't even imagine. I talk about this a lot, so my listeners are like, okay, Gina, we hear this all the time. But like the universe, since I started this and bringing me the women that I needed to be connected with at the right times, because the month that this is going to air is, which is coming up quick, is I'm working on like confidence and like self-confidence, and not just, hey, I can tell myself some affirmations, but I want you to freaking believe the words that are coming out of your mouth. I want you to believe the words that are coming out of my mouth. How do you teach self-confidence? How do you, when you have, I mean, I'm asking for all women, but when you have a client come to you and you're like, you're kind of look like you're confident, but I don't think you really are. How do you teach that?
We've got to go to the root. And the root is there's a fear of being seen at some level, being seen for who they really are, standing out, shining. There was something that happened in their life, or something that was modeled to them, where a belief was created that it is not safe to be me. I'm going to be abandoned if I'm fully me. I'm going to be rejected. It's going to be painful if I'm fully me. Bad things will happen if I'm fully me. And then the next layer is like being truly seen for being me, because people come to me, right, in order to be able to start and grow their businesses. And one of the key ways, you know, there's no avoiding showing up on video. Whether you have a business that is not a personal brand, people want to see who the founder is, right? We need to see that content. And you go after doing something big, like a podcast, a book, you have a clothing line, whatever it is, you have to have visibility, or your stuff's not going to sell. You're not going to make money. And that visibility is so scary for people because they've associated it with danger, or it's the unknown. It's the unfamiliar. They've spent so long being in this costume, and that feels safe to them, that to drop the costume is terrifying. And I have this show up, and I've seen a lot of women where it shows up in them too, but it's not talked about a lot. And this must be coming up for a reason, because it's going to seem random.
Talk about it.
It's going to seem random, but I know it's not, because God's speaking through me. It's supposed to come out. So when it comes to people's bodies and health, especially with women, we will like kind of lean out and like lose the inflammation and weight and like feel good. And then we end up gaining it back. It's like the 10-pound fluctuation back and forth, back and forth. And for me, it's like that 7 to 10 pounds. And as soon as my body gets to a point where I'm like, ooh, like I'm my best self. Like, not that I hate myself at any size, but where I really feel good. My clothes feel looser. I don't look puffy. I have a really hard time staying there. I feel very exposed. I get more attention. I feel like more people see me. I don't have a buffer. And that's what I mean by like the deeper stuff. There's a reason why people have excess weight, and it's not just because they're eating Cheetos, right? Like, there's a deeper reason for that. There's a deeper reason why people don't write the book, why they haven't put out the podcast, why they haven't, grown their business, why they haven't quit their job. The deeper reason is about, it feels unsafe. It feels scary. It feels so unfamiliar. Of course it is, because you've spent your life so long in the other costume.
Yeah, absolutely. 100% agree with you. And so that's funny that you brought that up, is I kind of popped off on Instagram about all of these coaches and all these, and it was funny. You actually said it in your Facebook thing today about all these coaches saying, I can do this for you. I'm going to do this for you. This is what I can promise. This is what that and the other. And I said, have you ever asked to see their resume? And you brought that up. You're like, I will show you. I will show you my bank statement. I will show you. I don't care. It's there. You know, you can look it up. And so I had popped off enough that in my community, I was telling my squad leaders, and I says, where's your resume for these women that you're going to lead? Where's your resume? Right. So I wrote up my own resume. And I'm like, la, 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 you know, my assistant made it so cute and pretty, like a little resume, you know, and I sent it to my husband. And all of a sudden I look on Instagram and he'd posted it. And I was like, well, dang, there it is. It's out there. and he's like, is that okay? And I'm like, well, yeah, I got to put my money where my mouth is. I mean, it's okay. It was just a little shocking, but like, there it is.
Yeah. My guess is you felt exposed, like you weren't like mad at him for it, but you were like it was almost like being caught with your pants down, or like running into someone at the grocery store when you look like a hot mess and you're like, oh God, I look crazy right now. You know, it's like, oh, right. And I think it's kind of cool he posted it, because you might not have ever.
In the community. It was going in the community. But yeah, I didn't.
I mean, like publicly,
yeah,
right?
That's what I mean.
Different.
No, yeah, I did not. I'm like, well, there it is for all the world to see. Okay, I'm in it. So, okay, but well, what do you do with them then after you identify, okay, this is what's happening with you. Okay, let's talk about this. Let's identify this. Now let's push past this. Let's go to the next step.
I'm all about experimenting. And this is very customizable, because everyone has different traumas and experiences and issues, and everyone has a different tolerance and a different resistance point. You don't actually want to rip this Band-Aid off. That's not safe. Okay. That's like taking away like a kid's like whoopee, or when you're trying to get a kid off like bottles, you know, to just rip it away. It's not good. It actually can re-traumatize people and make them completely shut down. It's better for us to slowly experiment. You know, we get the Band-Aid kind of moist, we loosen the edges, right? And like that doesn't mean it's not going to pull out some hairs and be a little uncomfortable, but it's not going to shock your system. And that's why most people resist doing this work, because they don't want to be left like destitute, or we open Pandora's box and I won't be able to take care of my family or do my job if we like do this work. I get that. Like, we have a real life to live. Like, I don't want to leave you non-functional. And for you to really work on this stuff and heal this stuff, there's a lot of people believe like, oh my God, this is going to take so much time and energy. I'm going to be a mess. I won't be able to get out of bed. That doesn't have to be the case. So we experiment with doing a little at a time. So here's an example. Let's say someone was heavily bullied in school. You know, they were made fun of for whatever it is, a facial feature. They were just really bullied. They never felt accepted. Then they didn't have the support at home for being bullied at school. So they didn't feel supported there. And now they're wanting to get more people buying their, you know, their jewelry, and more than just the people who find them on Etsy. And they know they need to embrace social media and digital marketing to get that exposure. But they've been resisting that, and that sounds horrible to them. Of course it does. Because you're exposing yourself to the world, and you could be exposing yourself to more of that bullying, and it doesn't feel safe, but you know you need to do it if you want to grow your business. And that's when people say they're stuck. And if you want what you say you want, we've got to work towards it. So then in this example, I would have this person do videos, but only send them to me. So they're doing, you know, a reel, or they're doing, you know, some kind of a, you know, face to camera video, and they're simply sending it to me. That's it. We're not even publishing it. And then I give them a pattern, right? They're in a pattern of doing that, because in the doing is where the fear starts to dissipate. So we need to get them doing those things. And it's like, oh, this isn't that bad. And I give them feedback. And I don't do I'm thinking of a client right now. That's where I'm getting the example from. And she's like, oh my God, I'm dying. Like, Tiffany, you're going to think these are horrible. And then, all the disclaimers that are written in my text, it's like, I did this one time. I know it's not great. I'm not feeling well. Like all these disclaimers.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. I have never had one client where I've done this work with where I'm like, oh my God, this is like really bad. It's actually way better than they realize it is. And I will reflect that back to them, but I'll also give like, okay, like your framing was a little off. People need to know, like, they want the honest feedback. They want to know, okay, like, this is safe to post. And there's times where I've been sent stuff where I'm like, I feel like you need to re-record it and then just hit on these points. We're building up that muscle. And then I go, okay, now it's time. Right now it's time. You have these 3 videos. Now we've got to post these. And it's terrifying. It was terrifying when I pressed, well, I didn't press it. My producer pressed it, but like pressed upload right on my first podcast. And I'm a professionally trained TV newscaster, and I was terrified. And it was like, I was afraid that people are going to be like, God, how self-absorbed is she? Like, who does she think she is? That she has a podcast under her own name? Like, it's not like she's like some celebrity or something. Like, how embarrassing. And I thought people from like my corporate life or from college or even my other company, because those are like big corporate clients, were going to hear the show and be like, I would lose credibility with them and I would be judged. I was afraid of all of those things, but publish had to be pressed at some point.
I really like that you talked about, because I've noticed, as like you just said, I've noticed with people that need a little more, not convincing, they need to build that trust with you first. I mean, because they've been down a road with some people that they couldn't trust, and now they've have all this toxic, trauma behind it. But I've noticed when I give them compliments, or like I'm kind of a lot, right? And I'm like a hype girl. And so I'm like over the top, and that comes off. And sometimes that's like a little jarring for those people, and they don't believe it. They don't. So I love that you said, I do add a little bit of like, it is honest. Like, I can still be honest. I can say you're an amazing person. You're so talented. I can be honest, but they don't take that very well. Compliments are jarring to them. They're not used to absorbing it. So I love that you said, but then I will also give them a critique. Like, it's constructive criticism. It's not like, you're ugly, you're fat. No, this is constructive. Good job. Listen, maybe I would tweak this. I really love that you added that, because it's jarring for people that aren't used to compliments to give them compliments. And then they're like, I don't trust you. You're not genuine.
Well, because they don't believe that about themselves yet.
Yeah.
So someone else coming at them at a fire hose of compliments, even though I know you're totally genuine and they're all true, if you don't believe it about yourself, you certainly can't absorb it from someone else. Like, I used to be that person. I had no self-worth. And people would give me these compliments, and I learned to be like, polite, where I would like nod my head and say thank you. But in my head, I was going, oh my God, if they only knew who I was. Like, what does this person want from me? They're just trying to get something from me and buttering me up. And I had all of that going on in my head. But if someone gave me a compliment and then also said, and this is what you could do, maybe better next time. Or have you ever thought about doing this? And there was a balance. I could take that in.
And that's what I want to get in your head. Like, I want to get in their head. I want to be able to go inside there and say, okay, now what are you thinking? What I just said to you, maybe I need to just start doing that. What I just said to you, what did that little person in your head that makes up all these stories and tells you all these things about yourself, what did he say to you just then, right? She, he, maybe, I don't know. You've got a lot of voices in there. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, I call it the negative committee in your brain. I have multiple people in there. Some people have like one main inner bully. I also refer to it as, from a recovery program I'm in, your critical parent. if you were raised in a dysfunctional environment, you also have that critical parent in your brain. Like, you can never do enough. It's not enough. You're fat. It's that it could have even been a grandparent or a caretaker that was just like hyper negative, judgmental towards people. And that's the voice that you have in your head. I personally have an entire team up there that has to be managed.
And that's the key. They're managed, right? It's being intentional enough to hear those coming out or feel them coming out, that the negative cycle is coming. So you have to be able to flip it, right? And catch it before it turns into those stories. And I'm going to sit in this and worry and stew. And then it's like, instead of just coming out with confronting it and figuring out what the truth is, you're like, I'm just going to sit in here with these stories running around in my head. And that's comforting, even though it's negative and I hate it, but it's comforting.
Well, because that's the victim thing, right? It's like the pity party. I'm not good enough, the self-loathing, because there's no action in that. So then it's like, then you're able to give yourself a pass from taking the action because you're a piece of crap, or you're fat, or you're too old to do this now, or who do you think you are? You're not smart enough. You're not attractive enough, whatever it is. You're letting yourself off the hook from taking the action by sitting in that self-loathing. But it's not conscious. It's not, you don't realize necessarily you're consciously doing that, but it's self-abuse. If we're allowing those inner bullies in our brain to control us, we're abusing ourselves now, because there's no one listening who would ever say those things to a child. Ever. I would never say any of the things I say to myself to a friend, to a partner, to you. I would never say these things. And they're nasty.
I had a challenge. They're horrible. And I had a challenge for my community to write them down on their hands. Write them when they come up, literally, physically write them down on their hands. And with me, it was things that were not so obvious, like, oh, you're worthless. It wasn't things like that. It was, you overpromised, undercommitted, or you're too busy today, you're stretched too thin today, or, you're unorganized. It's ones that I'm thinking aren't necessary. They're not bad. Well, yeah, they are. They're not good. They're not building me up, right? But so I had them write these things on their hands. And the point is, at the end of the day, do you want to high five someone and let them see everything that you think about yourself? And it's like, I had one of my gals say, I would never in a million years ever consider talking to someone this way, right? So why is it okay? It goes back to why would we say that God needs us to do this, but God, he wouldn't want us talking about us that way. I love it. Ed Milet says that. He says, whenever I'm feeling like beating myself up about things, I think about God saying, hey, that's my son. Don't talk to him that way. And I'm like, that's pretty powerful. That's so simple. That's pretty powerful.
When we have thoughts that are knocking us down, beating us down, making us feel like crap, that is our ego. Ego stands for edging God out. So that's when I'm an ego. So at least I tell people to name that inner bully or the various ones in their head. So then mine's Susie. So then I can say, oh, there's Susie, because if it was a true thought or belief that was coming from a higher power, a higher source, it wouldn't make you feel that way. It would make you feel, at worst, it'd make you feel neutral. At worst, right? But most of the time you'd feel uplifted. You wouldn't feel beaten down, heavy and negative. And that's how you know where these thoughts are coming from. And when we edge God out, some people live in that state. I lived most of my life in that state. I did not have God. I thought God forgot about me. That is how little I thought of myself. I really did. And imagine, I would never say that to somebody else. And I really believed that. That's why I went to leave this planet. Because I was like, I don't know. He forgot about me because I was so low and so miserable and felt so alone. And I felt like I was trying everything. I read all the books, listened to all the things, attended all these conferences, and nothing was working. And the truth is, he didn't forget about me. He was there all along, but I couldn't hear him. In my case, like that's how I identify God. I couldn't hear him because that ego was running the show. When that's so loud, how could we ever hear any of those other messages? There weren't any other messages. I couldn't hear anything.
I literally have 3 pages of ask you questions, and I want to know, this is that way. So what do you do then to be able to hear it? How can you then, if you're not going to believe what's coming in from everybody else, you're not going to believe that. You have to fix it in here. You have to fix it in here. You have to not care about what so-and-so down the street thinks of you. You have to not care that the corporate office thinks this of you or that you're not good enough. You have to not care. You have to only care about here. So how do you start hearing that?
It is so uncomfortable, but you have to be still and silent. You have to stop doing all the time and carve out time to be and be in that silence. This doesn't mean you have to, do conventional prayer or meditation. I have something called my abundance walks that I created because I know how uncomfortable it is for so many people to stay still. So it's a guided meditation designed to do while you're walking. You can do it inside, outside. You have to be in some form of movement. It helps some people to take a bath. And I have clients where they can only stand to be still and quiet. And I don't mean like watching your iPad in the bath either. I mean still, silent, undistracted, be at one with source and yourself. And again, we have to rip that Band-Aid off slowly. So I have clients where it's 3 minutes of it. And I was that person. I wanted to claw my skin off because I wanted to turn on the TV. I wanted to eat chips. I wanted to grab the phone. And so I think at one point I was doing like a minute at a time, and that minute felt like 10 hours. I mean, it was extreme because the truth comes up when we're still and when we're silent. That's when the real messages come in, those divine downloads come in. And it's not familiar to us, so it's so uncomfortable. And now I'm in silence and stillness as much as possible. And that's, if you knew me before, I was the classic overdoer, you know what I mean? Overdoer, people pleasing, go-getter woman. And no one ever saw me sit still. And I was modeled that. My mom is now 82 years old. I have never sat and watched a movie with this woman, ever. She can't do it. She starts doing ab crunches on the floor during it. She has to always be multitasking and doing and not still. And that's where those messages come in. But you gotta just be willing to keep showing up through the discomfort in order to get the gift that comes on the other side. And I promise you the gift is there.
That's what well, I don't know. What was your gift? What was your gift? That actually, yes, I don't want to skip this, but so what I'm trying to get through this month when this airs is because we just came out of the Women Who Tell Our Stories, right? Women in History Month, the Women Who Tell Our Stories. So next month I'm phasing into self-confidence, and that is us telling our story through how we show up, right? Our self-confidence is a cycle that's going to repeat through the generations because that's how we showed up. So hang on, I have it here somewhere. It's about purpose. Crap. See, you are so good to talk to. Was not even, okay, here it is. So what are you passionate about? So that brought up, you're sitting here silent, right? And you're able and ready to receive these guided messages saying, this is your gift. Go share it with the world. You are amazing at this. You can do this. So what are your steps to finding your purpose and your passion? purpose, I know, is already in us. I do not believe it's Where's Waldo. You don't go out and find your purpose, right? It's not under the, like you said, it's not, I'm a TV personality. That's not your purpose. Okay. You weren't born with that.
That's your title.
That's your title. That's your job. Your purpose is in here in your little person, and it needs to come out and be seen. So how do you help people find that? Dig it out.
It's such a beautiful question, because I agree with you. It's already within you, but it's covered with decades of messaging from being marketed to society, multi-generational messaging, things that it came from your grandparents and then their grandparents, from being a woman, a man, from being, it all is buried underneath there. And it starts with being silent and still, so that we can actually allow in that higher voice, because we really know what we need to do when we tap into that inner knowing and intuition. The problem is that we're so busy doing and distracting and dissociating that we can't hear that voice. It's drowned out. But a quick exercise that will help you is taking a look at, what would you love to talk about incessantly with people for free, that you would walk away from those different conversations and be like energized by? And whether you're an introvert or extrovert, it doesn't matter. But like, you would have the conversations around these subjects or subjects, and it would be for free, and you could sit and dish about it, and we could go out to dinner and talk about it and have a 4-hour conversation about it. And you would leave not feeling depleted. You'd leave feeling energized. And God, that was such a great night. What are those things? And then your judgment's going to come in. The ego's going to come in, because you're like, I know where Tiffany's going with this exercise. And Gina's saying we're going with this exercise. Like, I can't monetize that, and I can't turn that into a business. And this is silly. And take all that out of it. We're not even going there yet. Is it about, knitting? Is it about plants? Is it about faith? Is it about mindset? Is it about spreadsheets? Is it about fashion? Is it about something even deeper than that? What are those things? And then ask yourself, who would be craving and benefit from that knowledge, from this subject matter? Who would crave that? Because there's someone craving the knowledge and the perspective you have on those topics, without a doubt. Otherwise you wouldn't have them. They were put in there for a reason. So who is the person that would be craving it? Who is the person that you would be out to dinner with, having a 4-hour dinner, and you guys just can't stop talking? Who's that person? That's who you're meant to serve. We have this belief that if I'm going to make money doing this, if I'm going to be successful at this, if this is my thing, then it needs to be something that's like obvious and tangible, and it needs to be something that's filled with sacrifice and feels kind of heavy. It's the opposite. It's the thing that brings you joy and lifts you up, and that you feel excited every morning to share more and be of service more on that subject matter, helping that person. And we all have it. I mean, I've coached people who are adults who build custom Lego sets, and that's their thing. I've worked with people who created sticker lines, as I mentioned in the live training I did today. And they're just passionate about like fun stickers and graphic design and organization, right? It could be, I have people who went through a lot of trauma, and now they're trauma-informed coaches. I have faith-based business owners. It can be anything. It's in you already, but it's just allowing yourself to believe like, yeah, that actually is a thing. Especially when it's not tangible, people start getting really in their head. Well, I like talking about, faith, or I love talking about confidence, women's confidence. And I mean, you can't really monetize that. Well, Gina is right now.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh my gosh. It's just getting them past that too. And not, I mean, I'm trying to stay all women, but for business, yeah, it's getting them past the fear of, well, I'm making really good money over here, but it doesn't light my fire, right? I've got one of my members, she's just right on my brain, and she can't give up this job because it pays the bills, right? And it's really good money. But, or same thing, my friend's husband, I'm thinking of them too. But she's like, but this lights my fire. Like, it just makes me so jazzed. And I'm like, just freaking do it. Like, we can live without. You can live with less. I mean, but you can also make more. There's ways to make more money. That's your job. That is finding people like you to train them how to do that. But me, I'm sitting here saying, just do it. What is the worst that can happen? I've lost everything. I've been up here and gone to down here and gave birth and had my first baby's nursery be in a basement, like a relative's basement, thank goodness. Like, you can do without, and it's fine. It's not that bad.
And what is it costing you to continue to hold
Yes.
on to that job, that career, that relationship, that weight, that behavior, whatever
That's
it is?
soul sucking.
What's it costing? Because I know what it was costing me. And that's when I was like, I can't do this anymore. But I get it. Like, we believe that's secure and that's responsible because we've been programmed to have that belief for like centuries, right? That's the responsible thing to do. Like, you have a 401k and, you know, all of that. Well, it's not responsible if it is destroying yourself. You know, what do you want your kids to see? What do you want other people to see? You continuing to be miserable and sacrificing yourself to what? It's responsible. Well, I have a family to feed. I can't let that go because that would be irresponsible. Then start a side hustle. If you're really in that, that's what I did. Because I don't have someone to go to that's a bank. I don't have a Uncle Joe who is going to give me money. Didn't have, you know, a husband that was making money. Tiffany was Tiffany's backup plan. So yeah, I couldn't just like quit and like throw caution to the wind or whatever that saying is. Like, I started a side hustle, and within 6 months, I was matching at least my base salary. And then I gave my 2-week notice, and then I, you know, really went heavy into my business. There's many different ways we can do that. And I was okay. Now, that company could have let me go at any time. That's the craziness. They can let you go at any time. All you get to walk away with, if you're in the U.S., I don't know the like laws in all the different countries, you walk away with your unused PTO. That's what you walk away with. And like whatever's in your 401k, and then you have to pay a lot of money for some COBRA plan. And then people are like, what about insurance? And they get all stuck on like the benefits. These companies, listen, I was one of them. I ran the second largest dermatology group in the world. The companies and HR departments, they sell you on working there. So they go heavy on these benefits. And I'm not saying these benefits aren't nice, but when you do the research and calculate how much they actually cost, how much it would cost for you to replicate those on your own, it's not that much money.
Yeah, but they want you to believe it is.
Right. And I was on that side, and I get that. And I used to think so. I never did my own research until I got to enough pain where I'm like, I've got to leave this. And I was afraid of the benefits because I was in the pharmaceutical industry, which are top-notch benefits. And they force that down your throat too. And so I did my own research to see what it would cost me to have the similar benefits, being self-insured or whatever. It was like $800 a month. It wasn't like it was like $5,000. It was $800, and that was a long time ago. Now you can get emergency only insurance. You can negotiate with doctors' offices for cash pay. It's actually way better now than when I did it. And I started laughing. I was like, oh my God, I was literally going to stay and trade my misery and trade my soul-sucking feelings I had going on for $800 a month benefits?
When you have to use those benefits because it's soul sucking and creating this miserable life. When you don't need to have the benefits, when you're living a full, happy, energy rich life.
What a great point, because I was sick all the time. And you're right. That's so funny you say that. Funny, not funny, but I was sick all the time. And so those benefits felt even more critical to me. I mean, I was always sick because that's a sign that you need to slow down and that things aren't working in your life. And I don't remember the last time that I went to the doctor. Knock on wood.
Yep. Yeah, that's okay. So I'm going to kick this into a very your no BS mood vibe. How can you share the $1 million mindset? Because I found one of your old podcasts and I loved it. It just called to me, resonated. I'm like, oh, I'm eating this up. I'm writing down every word. If I could have typed it out, I would have had your caption for it. So the millionaire mindset to all women, right? In their everyday life. And I've broken it down here for you. So I will guide you because it was an older podcast.
Oh, thank God. Because I'm like, God, what did I say?
Oh, yeah. Go, Tiffany. It's all you. Take it away. No, I've got it. I've got it outlined here. So, number 1, positive and assumptive. Speak in a tone that will be for sure happen instead of I might do XYZ. It could happen. It's this will happen. Boom.
Yeah, this is happening. I'm doing this. This is no longer an option. This is what this is non-negotiable. This is what I'm available for now. This is what I'm not available for now. Versus I guess I'll try doing this. Maybe I'll figure it out. Sometime soon I'll do this. On Monday I'll do that. What's that? That's an excuse.
It honestly made me think just now of your style is very and I'm kind of whoa. And I'm pretty tough. I'm a pretty tough lady, but I don't want that. It's uncomfortable for someone to be no, you're going to do this, right? So in my community, I've got women that are okay, which team should I look at? Which one should I join? And I'm well, I think you'll be most comfortable in this one. So you really shouldn't do that. You need to go to this one because it's going to rub you the wrong way and it is going to make you so uncomfortable. And that is where the growth will happen. And that's what that just made me think of, is because if you're sitting here mom life on the couch, oh, I could get ready. I'm so comfortable in my jams. Oh, I guess I could switch the laundry out. No, get up, get dressed, do the laundry, and then be ready for the next thing that's going to make your life just jazzed and energized, right?
Or be accepting of where your life is at right now. And just be honest with yourself.
Or be accepting.
Yeah, and say, this is where my life's at. And I am not prioritizing or willing to take those actions right now and own it.
I love that you added that because that's perfect. Because if you are in a season of when I had my emergency C-section, I'd never had one before. I have 2 kids. I never had one before. And in my mind, I'm you need to be getting going. You need to be going. And my body's F you. It's not happening. And I felt so guilty. And that just added on to this new fun postpartum depression that I, again, had never experienced. And I felt even more guilty and I felt even more ashamed of it. Thank you for adding that on because yes, absolutely. It is a season and we need to give ourselves grace and admit that, no, I'm not always going to be sitting in bed, but guess what? For the next few months, I need to.
Otherwise, we lose twice. Now we're not doing the thing, and then we're beating ourselves up for not doing the thing. So now we're insane. And I've done it, and it is insane.
What's the very first book we all read in college is that effective habits. Stephen Covey. What's
Oh
the
yeah, the
highly effective?
Yeah.
You know, like we all read the first book we read and we're like, oh, we're now coaches. Let's go off into the world. And it's attainable goals, right? If you're not setting attainable goals, then you're just letting yourself down. And then just like you said, you're getting smacked twice. All right. Affirmations that actually have specifics and emotions attached to it. I love how you explain things. And then this is how I kind of like took them into my own head. You are basically your own hype girl, right? Like if you're just going into the mirror and saying like an affirmation that you Googled and got off someone else's, Instagram page, and you're telling it, it's not, there's no emotional charge behind it. There's not an emotional attachment. So like this takes it back to my relationship with money. We lost it all, right? And I felt that. And I know not only what that felt like, because that didn't really bother me so much, but it was my husband being in like a depressive like state and he wouldn't, like we couldn't connect, right? I remember that emotion charges me to not spend money, to budget, to be careful with what I'm doing, because I don't want to be back in that place. And it has nothing to do with money. Nothing. It has to do with the feeling I felt when my husband pulled away from me, right? So these are the kinds of affirmations that you should be using. Something behind that is saying, oh, I'm going to make $1 million this year because I'm not going to feel that way
for you,
again.
it'd be, it is now safe for me to make more money. It is now safe for me to have limitless wealth. I am fully supported and can handle making limitless wealth, stuff like that. Because that's what it's rooted in, right? Like it doesn't feel safe because it feels like you have to sacrifice something that's very important to you in order to get it. So we've got to make it about safety, but it has to be said in a way and worded in a way where you can buy into it. It can't be like pie in the sky stuff, or your ego is going to be like, that's BS. So it has to really work for you, where it's like, you know what, I can buy into that today. I'll go with it.
Like the hot mess mom saying, I am organized. You're damn right. You can be organized. Yes, do it. Do it. You can do it. Yes.
Or I'm working on becoming more organized, or I'm committed to becoming more organized.
I'm committed.
Because saying I'm organized, and then she's looking at like the disaster in the living room, she's like, well, that's not true. I am taking action today to get more organized. And it's like, oh,
thank you.
Oh, okay. Well, that I can buy into that.
I can buy into that. Thank you. That is a perfect reminder. Yes. It's kind of like saying, yeah, oh yeah, you're talking yourself into like, you're being your own hype girl, but you're not blowing smoke.
Yes. Well said.
Yeah, I can get on board with that. Okay. All right. Yeah. I'm with you. Then you talk about bills, your relationship with bills and how it's a negative, which is so interesting because I just got done talking to a money coach and she broke this all apart. So if I hadn't had that conversation with her, I would have been like, what are you even talking about? That is so weird. But yeah, you have to have this positive relationship with money. It's not a 4-letter word. It's not the scary, oh, I got to open a bill. And I love that you're like, you know what's coming.
Exactly.
Why is it such a shock? Like every month your car payment happens on the same day. Like it's not shocking. It's not, oh my, what? That's out of nowhere.
And sometimes we do get bills that are surprising. Like I just got a weird text message this morning, which I thought was like a scam text. And it was from my dentist saying, you have a debt to clear. Please call the office. And I was like, first of all, I don't have any debt. So I was like, what is this? And then I checked the number and it was my dentist's office. And I was like, what debt? And who knows, it could be like $25 or something my insurance didn't pay or whatever. That was unexpected. And I started even down a path of, well, that's annoying. And then I even got resentful. Like, I don't even like this new dentist anyway. And then I didn't even want to call because I'm like, I'm busy and I don't want to call. And I didn't like how they texted me and wrote that. That didn't feel good to me. which it really didn't. I don't advise people to do that. That was weird. It made me feel like they were saying, you know, I'm getting a debt collector, like I'm out of integrity. And I was like, this is strange.
Yeah.
And then I came back to, all we have to do is call and pay it. You did go to the dentist, you did get a service, and we all know insurance doesn't necessarily cover all of it. So this really isn't that unexpected. It just got delivered in a way that like caught you off guard. So it's reframing it, you know, but we do get unexpected bills, but it's like we could stay in the resentment of it and complaining around it, which my guess is models and mimics what you observed growing up when it was bill time or tax time that you're repeating. And it's not conscious. If you had a parent or a dad who got silent or drank or a mom who got like kind of short with you and it was like tax time or bill time, you believe me, you absorbed all of that. And then it ends up happening, recreating in your own money life. It's fascinating.
You just worked a cognitive cycle there. You worked a negative cognitive cycle, and then you did it the other way in a positive cognitive cycle. And that's exactly right. It's allowing a thought to create a feeling, to create an action, to create a result, right? So that's all it is with money, is with bills, this is what it is. Pay the bill. Great. Move on. That was awesome. Okay. Incorporate things that will keep us on track. Oh, I love that you actually you were talking about something, but this made me think of, you talk about your motivation. You put all over the place. You have little sticky notes everywhere that motivate you and cheer you on all over, whatever. Let's see. You've got them. Oh, here they are. Dude, they're big ones.
I have all different sizes, girl. We love sticky notes over here.
And mine was building good habits and habit stacking. That's incorporate things that will keep you on track. So for me, the sticky notes would just be chaos for me. I would just be like, but habit stacking and like, okay, do your planner, do your habit tracking, do your whatever. Then it's like a ripple effect, right? You throw the pebble in and it starts with just doing your going to the gym, then whatever. But incorporate things that will, like sticky notes, like whatever, writing a dry erase. I know people have a dry erase marker in the bathroom, writing dry erase on your mirror, like whatever it is. Incorporate things that keep you like on your trajectory that you want to go.
You can set reminders in your phone or your alarm in the morning. I customize mine to have a message for me. So, and I'm a snoozer, which I know is not good. It's supposed to be healthy or whatever, but there's like a 3 or 4 part snoozer that I have going on over here. So I have different messages on my iPhone that come up. So it doesn't have to be the way I do it or the way Gina does it. Do it in a way that feels like fun for you.
I love that. The reminders. What's a message that comes up for you?
I'll tell you. I make millions just by being me. That's one that comes up. I also have I'm a world famous empowerment speaker. I make money easily. The more fun I have, the more money I make. I make millions while I sleep. I attract beautiful, sincere people in my life. I mean, I have a lot because I travel a lot, so I have all different times and
all the time
and I'm like the person who has like 7 a.m., 7:05, 7:15, 7:20. I'm that person. You wouldn't want to sleep next to me unless you were also that person.
I love it. You've got your specific Australia messages. You've got your specific UK messages.
Totally. I have messages like if it's really early in the morning.
G'day, Tiffany.
Yeah, like really early in the morning. It's like, this is going to be such a beautiful trip and exactly what you need, because I don't get up before 6:30 in the morning unless you're paying me or I'm traveling.
Yep. That's a good example, because otherwise you could get up and just be like, oh, right?
Well, that is
We all
how
know
I
what that
wake
feels
up.
like.
No, that's how I wake up.
Yeah.
Truly, that is how I wake up every
Yeah,
day. I do this to counteract that. I am not a morning person.
exactly.
I am not someone who pops out of bed and it's like, bless the day. I'm just not like that. I've never been like that. And so this helps counteract that. And then I do my daily readers in the morning. So I make sure I infuse myself to counteract that. I do things deliberately to counteract that other side of me that just wants to stay in bed all day.
Yeah, you reverse psychology yourself. I love it.
Yeah,
That's
I have
awesome.
to.
That's a great trick. Well, so the 5 is control your dang thoughts, right? Control your GD thoughts, people. Break the cycle of negative thinking. Exactly what you just did. Your cognitive thinking, your cognitive cycle. It's seeing where they're coming out, why we wear being rushed, being a hot mess mom as a badge of honor. It's not. Being in complete control of your life is a huge badge of honor. So that's a little extreme, but control your thoughts, right? They're your thoughts.
Yeah,
It's easy to say.
we can manage them. Yeah, we can. I mean, the hot mess mom thing. Oh, it breaks my heart, and I get it because I say stuff because it's kind of become normalized. They have coffee mugs that say it, right? And that's not true. What the truth is it is a lot being a mom, and you're doing the best you can at any given time, and that's more than enough. That's what the truth is. But like some of these sayings, I mean, if it feels fun for you to call yourself that, but really like if you keep calling yourself something, I used to, and I still do sometimes because I am kind of a lazy person. I'm not like a conventional like type A person. But for a while there, I kept referring to myself as lazy, 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 lazy. And I noticed my energy level was going down. It's like, I'm really not lazy. I'm actually resourceful, and I'm not available for unnecessary hard work. That's what the truth is. It's not that I'm lazy.
Yeah, you don't want to do the crap that you don't want to do.
And I don't need to because I've created options for
Yeah.
myself by making a boatload of money. And that's what
Yeah, if
money
you don't want to
buys.
do the crap. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. That's so funny story, just real quick, because I don't want to waste any of your time. But so the counterpart of this, Order of Man, is the male version of this. He's so great and huge and has a big community and following. And he asked me to do the women's version of this. So this is new to that. But his beautiful wife was on a podcast, and this was a year before I started this probably. Anyway, and I was calling myself the hot mess mom. I was traveling around the world with kids and, Lulu's, Ugg boots, top knot. I mean, that was me. I was not jumping out of bed to get ready for the day. I was just, this is how we're going today. Mascara, maybe, like we're good. But she kind of called me out. She was on a podcast episode. She does, she's very high functioning, like in their family. She does homeschooling. They have a garden. She's such an amazing chef. They're just awesome. Their kids get up. They know they get themselves dressed, ready for the day before they even come down the stairs. And I'm just like, Trish, dang, you are making it hard, right? You're setting the bar. And now that I am in a mindset of growth, I see that. I look back on that because I did. I'm like, you just called me out, and I am okay being the hot mess mom. Like, I'm okay with it. I love it. This is my life. And at that time, it was. Like, that's what I was doing. That's what was serving me. But now I look back on it and I'm like, it wasn't serving me. I was drowning. I was barely staying afloat, laundry piled everywhere, kids stuff everywhere, like still battling postpartum depression. We couldn't travel. We're a travel family. We've been to over 40 countries and we couldn't. COVID stopped that, so from coming from COVID and a bad pregnancy and a horrible delivery. And I'm like, I am a hot mess mom and I have to be okay with that. So I get it. But seeing it now from this side of it, it's like, you don't have to be that. Don't wear that as a badge of honor. Let's get you organized. Let's get you just finish one task at a time. Just one task. I'm not telling you you have to take over the world today, but if just folding the laundry right when it comes out of the machine helps you feel like you won the day, fold the damn laundry.
Maybe it's that this is happening and for the greater reason for you to strengthen the asking for help muscle, right? Well, you know, maybe it's that you don't need to do more. Maybe it's that you need to ask for more help or hire some help, even if it's temporarily, and that's uncomfortable for you. And that's what needs to be done. Because so many, especially women, we just do too much. And there's almost like a weird competition with that, you know, like the busy mom life, the busy woman life. Like, I'm so busy. I have so much going on. I have so much to do. I'm so exhausted. Who's more exhausted? It's like, do we want this on our tombstone? Here lie Gina. She worked herself to death. She did. She folded all of her to-do list done. She folded all of her laundry and grew kale in her backyard.
And had a cocktail herb garden. Oh my gosh. I love it. Thank you for that reminder, because I forgot that I am an advocate for hiring a maid. I really am, mamas. Because guess what? If you want to spend more time with your kids, make it time that matters and counts, not that don't hire a maid and then sit on the couch and scroll Instagram. Hire a maid and leave the house with your kid and go make some memories at the park, or, you know, go in the back room and read books or do whatever, you know, but get help. Thank you.
I hired
or groceries. Like, people deliver that stuff now. Like, hello.
Exactly. I hired my house manager, Jackie, when I was 25 years old, before I was making all this money. I was making $68,000 a year. And I know that's a lot of money to some people too, but that's usually not the amount of money you're making when you hire a house manager. And I hired her because I had a friend of mine who was a couple years older who had a house manager, and I thought it was so weird. Like, you're in your 20s and you have a house manager, like, and you're living like a condo. Like, this is really weird. And I go, why do you do this? And she said, because the amount of time it would take me to do the laundry, to fold, to make the beds, to clean, would be probably like, you know, at least 8 hours a week. And in that 8 hours a week, I could be exercising, I could be making more money, I could be, you know, doing a hobby or meeting a friend, and that's a way better use of my time. So I'm buying time. And I went, And I go, well, I could try it. And that doesn't mean this is a permanent thing. I could just experiment and try it. And I never went back, and she's still my house manager. God bless Jackie.
God bless Jackie. And God bless the house manager. Oh my gosh, that's awesome. I love that, because it is time. That is the one thing you do not get to make more of, folks. It's obvious and it's a cliche, but do you really feel it into your soul? Do you really feel it into your soul? If you're living and sitting at your desk, working at a soul-sucking job, do you feel it in your soul that you, like, the clock is ticking? The clock is ticking. What's the book that says, if you knew the time and day you would die, you'd be living a whole different way.
God, you're so right.
Right?
You're so right. Yes.
You would. If it's like tick, tick, tick. What's that show? And they have it on their wrists and it's ticking down.
Oh my God.
Right?
I never
you
heard
would
of
live
it, but that would. Yes. If it was like in our Apple Watch.
Yes, it does. It clicks down and it's like, you would be living a different way. So, okay, there you go. Picture that. Picture your clock ticking and you can hear it. You're in that silent room and it's like clunk, 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 right? Start writing down what you would be doing and then look at your life. Are you doing any of those things?
Ooh, this is a really good exercise. I love that.
Yeah. Boom. And back to Perky. back to this. So yeah, that does wrap it over to, I'm going to wrap it up because your time is way precious and I appreciate it. But, it takes me back to when we were talking about people don't do it because it's not easy. It's not. It's a lifestyle. And I preach this all day. Like, I actually challenged myself this month. If you see anything on my Instagram this month, everything is hashtag revitalized lifestyle, because it's a lifestyle. I'm living a lifestyle. I'm not on a crash diet. I'm not on a budget. No, this is money. You have to track your money. You have to watch your money. You have to see what goes in and out. You have to know what's coming in the future. You have to know what's coming, what investments are going to be good in 4 years. You have to, it's a lifestyle. It didn't start 1 week and then I ended it 2 months later after my vacation I went on. Relationships. I constantly take courses for marriage because that shiz is hard. I constantly, right?
Yes.
Like...
That's an understatement.
On social media. Like, what is happening? Fitness. We all know about fitness. I leave like that is I have an episode I'm recording about starting over. My life is all about starting over. Because we'll go and we'll travel and we'll be gone for months at a time or years at a time. And I'll get out of routines. And then you get home and I'm like, okay, I got to do it again. It is getting harder. I just started March 1st and we've been gone all year, and I'm like, whew, I'm kind of feeling 40. Like, I feel it. This feels different than 25. It's hard. So it's a lifestyle. It's a practice. It takes work. You've got to be all in on the lifestyle, whatever your lifestyle is. I mean, if that's serving you, do it, but be all in on it. At least you have one life, right? Be all in.
I love that. And that looks different for everyone. And half measures get you half measured results. So stop expecting to have these amazing results on half measured action. I wish it worked that way. That would be amazing. It doesn't. And you deserve a full measured life, which requires, exactly like you said, this is incorporating it and making it a lifestyle. It's a daily practice and it looks different for everyone. And you deserve the best and get it if you want it and do it.
Yeah. Amen. You nailed it with that. You deserve to live the life that you want to live. You deserve to have the purpose shining out of you, like every finger, every toe, purpose coming out of your every essence and pore, like live it. Right? Well, where can everybody find you? I can tell them where to find you, and I'll put it in the show notes.
Thank you. Yeah.
Where would you like them to find you?
It's what you're going to put in the show notes. Come listen to the podcast. It's top 0.5% podcast worldwide. Project Me with Tiffany Carter on all the platforms. Instagram is probably the main social platform I use. You can come say hi, DM me, say you heard me on the show. It's only me and my DMs. It's not a chat bot. It's not someone on my team. Like, I actually converse with you, and that's at Project Me with Tiffany. And I would, I'd love to hear from you and hear what you learned and took away from this episode.
Me too. I would love that too. So do it. Go review it. Get on it. Thank you so much for joining me. I know you had a busy day and I really appreciate your time. It was a powerful day, right? Someone on your Facebook group told me that. I don't say it was a busy day. I say it was a powerful day. And I'm like, oh,
I love that.
Adopted.
It was a powerful
Done.
day. Yeah, I'm not tired from it. I'm energized from it because I'm living my purpose.
Yep. Amen. Oh my gosh. Appreciate you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.